Shabbat Shalom. Coming off of a festive week, having seen many of you just a few days ago, it's nice to be together again on this Shabbat and a beautiful evening drive coming over. If you're walking here and with an angel on our shoulders, we begin with words of welcome. Shalom Aleichem on page 40 in your prayer books.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachuni leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. La 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 ya la 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 ya la ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la.
Shabbat Shalom. Quite a bit more subdued than maybe when we saw a couple of you the last time at Purim, but just as wonderful nonetheless. We welcome Shabbat tonight together as a community as we turn to page 13 and we invite Leslie Black forward to light our Shabbat candles.
Light is the foundation of life, yet impossible to touch. Light is flowers growing and fruit trees blossoming, photosynthesis and rainbows shimmering. Light is energy and romance, enlightenment and lightning. Light is red and violet and magenta and blue. Lasers and campfires, warmth and illumination, the sunset and the dawn. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahalik ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahalik ner shel Shabbat. Service continues on page 34 with Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Nei Shabbat, Kabbalat, Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Nei Shabbat, Kabbalat, Shamor v'zachor v'diburecha, v'hishmianu echa b'yuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad, b'shem tiferet v'nitila לקראת קלה,
בני שבת,
לקבלה,
לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, בסוף המעשה במחשבה תחילה.
לך דודי, לקראת קלה, בני שבת,
קבלה,
לך דודי, לקראת קלה,
בני שבת,
לקבלה.
קבלה.
We rise together. Oy בשלום עטרת עלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לקראת קלה,
בני שבת,
לקבלה,
קבלה,
לך דודי, לקראת
קלה,
קלה,
בני שבת,
לקבלה,
קבלה,
לך דודי, לקראת קלה,
בני שבת,
קבלה,
קבלה,
לך דודי,
לקראת
קלה,
בני שבת,
קבלה,
קבלה,
לך דודי,
חדודי,
דודי,
חדודי,
דודי,
חדודי, חדודי.
We continue on page 41. May these prayers change me, this community work through my spirit. May the symbols around me shine in my heart, the words of Torah light up my eyes. May these friendships flow through me like a wave, this family move me like a full moon.
On page 42. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, Amen. V'alma divrach yirteh v'emlich malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon, v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, uvizman karib, v'imiru, Amen. Yehesh me'Rabbah mevorach, le'alam ulad me'almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitalev, v'yitalal, shemei dekodesha, frichu, leila min kol bechata, v'shirata, tushbichata, v'nechemata, damiran be'alma, v'imiru, amen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la,
continue in the middle of page 45. Our kind deeds are used by God as seed for the planting of trees in the Garden of Eden. Thus, each of us, by our deeds, has the power to create our own paradise. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Blessed are you, O God, who makes the evening fall. We continue on page 49. We are loved by an unending love. We are guided by the still small voice within us. We are loved by an unending love. A ner tamid to be tended from generation to generation. And a gentle love. Giving meaning to our existence, structure to our lives. And of all the generations who have embraced their covenants.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto leolam vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto leolam vaed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto leolam vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto leolam vaed.
As you're seated, we join together in the chanting of Ve'ahavta, page 57. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, v'chol levavecha uv'chol nafshecha, uv'chol me'odecha, ve'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
As we turn to page 62, we ask ourselves the question, what is redemption? And each of us has our own stories of connecting with God, coming to know God, experiencing God's miracles in our everyday lives. So I want to share with you a post-bar mitzvah story of redemption. It just happened today. So Friday afternoons, I take Danny to guitar lessons, and he's learning all different kinds of music, a lot of pop music, some Beatles. It's pretty fun. And the last couple weeks, I haven't actually been able to sit in on the lesson. So I went in today, and they pulled out the music, and the teacher looked at him, and then he looked at me with this kind of look on his face, and I was like, what's going on? And he said, did you see what the music is? And I said, no. And he said, it's Micha Mocha. That's redemption. So we turn to page 62, and we sing together, Micha Mocha.
Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha neder ba'kodesh, Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha neder ba'kodesh. Torah tehilot oseh, Torah tehilot oseh. Adonai et Yaakov, ugihalo miyad chazak mimenu baruch, ata Adonai ka'al Yisrael.
The middle of page 64 together. Cause us, our Creator, to lie down in peace, and raise us up, O sovereign God, to renewed life and peace. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and be our shield of mercy and of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Let's do that line. Why not? Go ahead, you do it. Come on, I left it for you.
Turn the page. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uvein bnei Yisrael, oti leolam, oti leolam. V'shamru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim v'et ha'aretz, v'shamru השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. We rise together on page 68. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh HaKol, V'zocher Chastei Avot V'imot, U'mevii Geula Livnei Bneihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah.
Middle of page 69. Prayer invites us to let God's presence suffuse our spirits, to let God's will prevail in our lives. Prayer cannot bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. Baruch atah Adonai, Machayeh HaKol. Blessed are you, O God, who renews all things.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. As you're seated, we pray silently. Shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu, od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, shalom. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Eo, 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 eo,
I love when we sing that piece before Misha Berach, a piece that combines our prayer for peace in our language and Arabic, and we really recognize that above all, that gift of peace covers a lot of bases for us. And so as we turn to this prayer that prays for the healing of the people we love, not just physical healing, but spiritual healing and emotional healing, we remember that as we ask God for peace, we ask God for healing. Those two are not so different. So we join together in the words of Misha Berach on page 72.
Source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
Good Shabbos, everyone. Each year before the High Holy Days, the rabbis of Temple Israel hold a sermon critique. It is an opportunity to hear one another's sermons and offer constructive suggestions. Well, usually constructive. And invariably, as part of one of these critiques, someone says to the rabbi who was just presented, "That was very nice, but really you have written 3 different sermons. You should choose one theme and save the other 2 for another time." And generally, the presenting rabbi acknowledges the critique, saying, "Yes, you are right, that is what I should do," and then gets up on Rosh Hashanah and delivers exactly the same 3 sermons that he or she originally intended to give, usually to great acclaim. So for my sermon this evening, I thought I would give it a try. I will deliver 3 unrelated sermons in one and see if anyone notices. And then the real trick will be to see if I can tie them up neatly into one seamless homiletic package. Now that would be something, wouldn't it? We'll see. This is sermon number 1. Not many of you are aware that Temple Israel has been involved in a landmark lawsuit for some time now. Several years ago, you see, our Board of Trustees passed a resolution stating that only those children who were vaccinated or had a medical waiver could be admitted to our early childhood center. Subsequently, we were sued by a non-member Orthodox couple who demanded that we admit their children based on their religious objections to vaccination. Oh, and they wanted a full scholarship to boot. Chutzpah. As part of the case, I had to write a document outlining Temple's religious reasoning for not accepting non-medical waivers, which are regrettably allowed in the state regulations for religious reasons, philosophical reasons. Basically, our religious argument came down to 4 principles. A, the reform movement had taken a stand in favor of universal vaccination, and we feel bound by that. B, the principle of pikuach nefesh means that the saving of lives overrides all other considerations. C, the Talmudic principle of the rodef does not allow us to include in our midst anyone who even unintentionally presents a danger to the community. And finally, the commandment to expel the leper from the camp is not discretionary. We are directed by the Torah to exclude someone who might spread disease to others, no matter how emotionally painful that exclusion may be. With that information in hand, the appeals court ruled that our decision to reject those unvaccinated students was indeed a religious one, and that was important, because therefore the legal principle known as the ecclesiastical abstention doctrine applies. So we won, yay us. Seriously though, this was a major victory for us and for all religious institutions striving to protect the most vulnerable among us, infants and those who cannot be vaccinated due to medical allergies. And the victory could not have come at a better time. You may have heard that there has been a measles outbreak in our county, all based on the breakdown of what is known as herd immunity, due to these religious and philosophical waivers that the state unfortunately allows, but not at Temple Israel, not anymore. Hallelujah. Sermon number 2. You mean parents paid a bogus charity to get their kids into college, intentionally depriving those more deserving from the opportunity that they had clearly earned? Are you kidding me? What has our society come to? That's the end of sermon number 2. I mean, what else can you say about sermon number 2 except oy vey's mir, right? So on to sermon number 3. I fell in love with Israel, not through the land. After all, I was a Zionist before I ever set foot in Eretz Yisrael. No, I fell in love with Israel through the people. And that love started with a single Israeli. Well, actually, maybe 2 Israelis. But the first was a cute Sabra named Chava, so that doesn't really count. No, I am speaking of my friend Itzik, who served as an RA with me at the Kutz Camp Institute in Warwick, New York. The same camp, you may remember, where I eventually met my wife, Wendy, who, as it turned out, was even cuter than Chava. Itzik was the first Moroccan Jew that I had ever met, and he was much more religious than the rest of us, keeping strictly kosher as the Moroccan community in Israel generally does. But the Moroccan version of kashrut actually is a little more reasonable than that of the Ashkenazim. When they first arrived in Israel, for instance, most of them would eat chicken with milk. After all, how can you cook a chicken in its own mother's milk? They also eat kitniot, or legumes, and rice on Passover. In any case, Itzik was one of the brightest, most joyful, most charismatic, and wisest people that I had ever met. I learned so much from him that summer, but never more than when we were invited to dinner at the home of another counselor who happened to live nearby. When we walked into her home, you could just tell how excited his mom was to feed us. The table was set exquisitely. The house glistened. She was absolutely verklempt. Then we sat down to dinner, and I watched as she proudly placed a large serving of veal parmesan right on each of our plates. Now, even Moroccan Jews cannot eat veal with cheese, but I wasn't really worried. There was a beautiful salad, 2 kinds of vegetables, a baked potato, plenty for Itzik to eat. We all dug in, and I was speaking with a friend over to this side when I looked over at Itzik's plate and saw, to my horror, that Itzik had finished every last morsel of the veal, the first treif that he had ever eaten in his entire life. When we got outside, I scolded him. I said, Itzik, you didn't have to do that. She would have understood. No, he answered me, you are wrong. It would have embarrassed her. And the mitzvah of saving her from embarrassment overrode the commandment of not eating milk with meat. After all, it is just food. She is a human being. It is a moment I will never forget. For me, that is the spirit of Judaism in a nutshell, or perhaps in a veal parmesan. That is Israel. That is what the Israelis that I know are like. And that is why, although I do not support every policy decision of the present government of Israel, I do try to temper any criticism with just a bit of humility. You see, I do know the people of Israel, and most of them are like my friend Itzik. It is just that they have been placed in an untenable moral situation, with the threat of terror and genocidal attack a constant presence in their lives. How would you deal with such a situation? How would I deal with such a situation? Frankly, if it were my children being attacked, I am not sure that I would react with any more restraint. And this is a timely issue. Take the reaction of some to this week's announcement regarding the Golan Heights. Now, I've been reading all day, the last few days, everything that's been written, and frankly, there are good arguments on both sides. But I ask you, if it were your family living in the Galilee in the north, given what is going on now in Syria, would you really want Hamas and Hezbollah and the forces of Iran and ISIS any closer than they already are? I understand that we all grew up believing that Israel must be an or l'goyim, a light unto the nations. But sometimes that expectation leads us to hold her to a standard that no nation state has ever met, a standard we ourselves would probably not live up to if we were in her situation. So you can see, Itzik, my Israeli friend, has been an important light in my own life. And ever since I met him, I have been fascinated with Moroccan Jewry. And that is why I am so excited to be journeying along with Rabbi Loss and our wives on our temple mission to Morocco next March. While visiting that exotic and beautiful land, we will have the opportunity to learn more about where Itzik came from, the Jewish community there, and its rich and fascinating history. And I should mention here that Morocco was just named as one of the 10 safest tourist destinations in the world. So I do hope that you will consider joining us. That concludes sermon number 3. Now, I promised you an attempt, at least, to tie these 3 seemingly unrelated sermons together. And for that, I turn to our Torah portion, Sav. In it are listed the many types of sacrifices, some of them were literally veal, by the way, that the Israelites made to God in the Holy Temple. The burnt offering, the meal offering, the offerings of purgation, reparation, and thanksgiving. But there is one offering that seems very different from the others. It is known as the sacrifice of well-being. And that sacrifice will serve as the link between all three of my sermons. For it is a communal sacrifice. We are not asking God just to take care of us and our own personal needs or desires. We are asking God, we are praying for the well-being of the community. We are sacrificing for the good of the whole. Just as those who choose to vaccinate their children are doing so not only for their own kids. After all, think about it. Those children may be protected by the herd immunity principle anyway. No, those parents are vaccinating their children for the well-being of the society, of the group. This, in stark contrast to those parents who let their out-of-control ambition to get their kids into college obscure their vision for a just, decent, and fair society. And that is the reason that we of Temple Israel must ever strive for the well-being of the people of the land of Israel. Because I believe that although no people is perfect, most of them are very much like my friend Itzik, who taught me that the well-being of the people around us should override even our own personal desires and needs. And so, magically, 3 sermons have become one around the theme of sacrifices made for the well-being of the community, which brings us to the end of the sermon, or should I say, the sermons. And let us say, Amen.
Let justice roll like a river, and kindness like a mighty stream. Let the waters flow on forever, and let them wash over me. For every heart, for every soul, it's time we go find it once more. So what are we waiting for now? If not now, if not now, then where? What are we waiting for now? If not now, if not now, then where? What are we waiting for? Na 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 na. What are we waiting for? Na 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 na. The justice roll like a river, kindness like a mighty stream. Waters flow on forever. Let them wash over me. Heart, for every soul, it's time we go find it once more. So what are we waiting for now? If not now, if not now, then where? What are we waiting for now? If not now, if not now, then where? What are we waiting for? Na 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 na. What are we waiting for? Na 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 na. The justice roll like a river, and kindness like a mighty stream.
I'd like to invite up now a member of our executive committee, and I want you all to know that he and his family get extra God points. They're having a double header tonight. We had 80 people for our inaugural new young family thing on the other side of the building. So Andy and the whole crew have been through 2 full services tonight as he shares this evening's announcements. I know.
Shabbat Shalom. Join me in wishing Cantor Smolash well as he leads this year's delegation of Temple members to the APAC Policy Conference in Washington, D.C., March 24th through March 26th. You want to say hi? At the Policy Conference, our Temple members and the Cantor will engage with senators and representatives and hear from Israeli politicians and more. Please join us at Temple Israel's 78th annual meeting on Thursday, March 28th here at Temple. Dinner will be served at 6 p.m., followed by the business portion of our meeting, which will start around 6:45. Register online if you would like to join us for dinner. New this year, Passover carryout. Order your first night Seder from Temple Israel's amazing caterer, and let us take the worry out of cooking for Passover. Traditional, vegetarian, and healthy choices are available. Simply order online by April 12th at temple-israel.org/Passover carryout. Families with elementary school age children are invited to join Rabbi Kaluzny and her family May 17th through May 19th for family camp at the Butzel Conference Center. We'll celebrate Shabbat, sing, play games, and enjoy other fun-filled activities in an authentic camp environment. For more information about any of our programs, check the information table as you leave, visit the Temple calendar, or call the Temple office during regular business hours. Please join us after services for Oneg and Shabbat greetings. On behalf of the officers and members of the Board of Trustees, I wish each of you a Shabbat Shalom.
Also a reminder for those of you how many of you have ever been to Limud? That really great, yeah, it's awesome. It's next weekend, right? Next Sunday. Limud is at the JCC here. Last year it was in Ann Arbor. It was far. This year it's right down the street. It's an amazing opportunity to learn with your clergy and clergy from all over the country and our local community. So if you haven't signed up, go check it out. You should all go as we rise together, concluding our service as we sing the Aleinu on page 189. And if there are any other kids, I know there are, come on, run up here. Walk slowly up here.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'hadon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצו, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומונים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, היום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
Please be seated. Our thoughts turn now to those who are no longer with us, members of our family, our community, our temple, who've died in recent days. We remember Lorraine Alcon, Rena Anstendig, Stanley Bass, Ronald Brand, Inez Kane, Lane Coleman, Ellen Demre, Selma Feldman, Ronna Gordon, Eileen Grechko, Lynn Hamill, Thelma Kahn, Barry Callan, Florence Kobe, Cheryl Foxman Lech, Jack Levitt, Kenneth Lynn, Arnie Olenek, Shirley Plotnick, Irene Schwartz, Avery Shapiro, Martin Smith, Marion Solomon, Lisa Wade, Carrie Weitzman, Earl Winfrey, Ingrid Wolf, Marion Wolfson, Sam Zaks, and Donna Zatkin. We also remember the names of our loved ones who died at this time in years past. Gerald Agranov, Jerry Band, Alfred Blatnikoff, Helen Braverman, Marvin DeRoven, Estelle Dolinka, Shirley Felsenfeld, Nathan Felsenfeld, Vicki Elaine Fox, Rabbi Leon Fromm, Ruby Gantz, Betty Goldman, Stuart Goodstein, Esther Hyman, Bernard Klein, Esther Korolitz, John Anye Lockard, Milton Madden, Tootsie Marshall, William Milstein, Burton Rissman, Ruth Ross, Harry Sherling, Anne Weinberg, Renee von Gazicki, Dr. Arthur Waldman, Marshall Wallace, Geraldine Orshowski, Herman Goldman, Sam Kleinman, Michelle Katz, Joseph Mandel, Zema Raznick, Faina DeBrusen, Abe Barish, Tilly Goldfarb, Louis Berman, William Shapiro, Joseph Friedman, Reisa Muratov, Sonia Katane, Marjorie Kay, William Sorokin, and Otto Hessenthaler. We remember them with love and we honor them with words of Kaddish found on page 199 as we rise together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah ve'alma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael v'agala uv'izman kariv imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yithaleh, v'yithalal, shemei dekudsha, brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran, be'alma, v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, huya aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May God send peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved among us tonight, as together we say.
Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kulam. Salam.
Shabbat Shalom.